Hello, welcome back to the channel and welcome back to the vlog. Today we're working on the fish room, building more stuff, expanding and setting more tanks up. So right here I just went out to the home center. I got myself some 2x4s. I also have some leftovers from previous projects that I just took apart, and I also rented out the circular saw so that I can cut some of this wood up to build some stands. So let's go inside and I'll tell you guys about some of the plans I've got for today. So this is the fish room right now. It's super messy. I'm not too happy with it, but we're gonna make it look better in this video. You can see I've got cardboard boxes and styrofoam boxes that I've got to clear up, so that'll happen in this video. But what I'm going to do first is I'm going to build a wooden rack over here, kind of similar style to this, but for the dimensions of these 2-foot tanks. I'm gonna have these 2 tanks and these 2 tanks all over here on one rack, because I don't really like this rack. It's a nice budget rack, it's good, it's cheap, but it just doesn't work for me because I don't like having the tanks right on the floor. It's not on the floor, but it's super close to the floor, and it's really hard to siphon and do water changes from that height. So I'm going to raise it up a little bit, make a better stand. So that's number one, building a rack just for these 2-foot tanks. And then after that, the second thing I'm going to do is I'm going to build a rack over here, a slightly taller rack, but a narrow rack, a 2-foot by, I don't know how tall of a rack, but that rack is just going to be for my nano tank. So this one, and these 2 nano racks. So 4 nano racks, nano tanks. What am I saying? Okay, I'm getting confused, but nano tanks, a rack just for my nano aquarium. So by the end of this video, this room should look a little bit more cleaner, a little bit more organized than what it is looking like right now. So stay tuned, wait until the very end. Let's see how this room turns out. It's not going to be perfect by any means, but it's going to look a little bit cleaner. I still don't have permanent places to put these boxes. These are where I keep my hardscape materials. They're mostly empty right now, but I'm starting to collect some hardscape materials so that I can do more projects. But yeah, I'm gonna get started with the rack over there. Alright, this is the part I've got to record. So I've just made a pretty bad mistake here. You can see the top part is pretty flush, pretty clean. It doesn't have to be perfect, and that's good enough. But then as we come down at the bottom, you can see how it's not straight. It just slants deeper and deeper, and that's because the blade wasn't tightened properly. So as I kept going, it just went deeper and deeper, and I didn't notice. And yeah, I'm gonna get a new set of 2x4s and restart. Alright, so here it is. The rack is complete, looking really nice. I just have to paint all the unpainted surfaces. I'm so lucky I had like extra wood laying around, so I didn't have to buy the ones that are painted. I just had to buy these ones. So yeah, it's the same exact stand as these ones, except it's just narrower. It uses the dado cuts, the dado joints. Now I'm going to head over to the home center to get more 2x4 so that I can build that rack for the nano tanks. And once I get that all built, I'm gonna paint it all, and yeah, and then it'll be basically done. I'll clean up a little bit because this place is looking really messy. I've got this wood that I messed up. I messed this up. I don't know what I'll do with that, but that's kind of unfortunate. Alright, that should be everything right there. We've got the wood cut up, some more screws because I'm running out, some paintbrush, and of course some fish food. Time to start cutting. So I'll show you guys a little bit of what I'm doing here. So I've marked out the 2x4. So this is an example. This is how it's gonna sit inside right there, and then I'll have another one somewhere around here, kind of sitting right there. But I'll show you guys a little bit, and then we'll see how it turns out. So you use the circular saw to cut out these strips, these lines through the wood, and then you use that little tool. I don't have the proper tool, but I just used one of these, and we saw a little bit earlier. Try to get this in, and then you just push it out. That's the most satisfying part of this build. So yeah, you got all these wooden chips now. And look at the floor. This is all dust right here. Look at that dust. Crazy. So I'm gonna keep doing that here and one more over here, and you guys will see how this turns out later. Pretty exciting, so I'm gonna get back to work. Alright, and take a look at this. Everything is starting to come together really nice. The paint has dried, and I'm really loving the way this nano rack is coming along. You can see right here the dado cuts, the dado joints are looking really nice, really sharp. And then the bottom right here, I just use a regular screw and just screw the wood in because I don't plan to have any heavy materials, any tanks sitting on the top and on the bottom. So yeah, nothing heavy going up here. Just tanks on the third and second row. And then this is the 60 centimeter, well, it's the 120 centimeter rack for the 60 centimeter 2-foot tanks. Here, these two tanks are gonna sit up here. And then these two tanks are gonna get a makeover and go down here, and I'll probably use these tanks as quarantine tanks. Yeah, so what I'm doing right now is I've got some wood here, and I rented out a jigsaw from the home center because I don't have a jigsaw. I don't have any of these power tools, so I rented this out. It's really cheap. You get to rent it 3 days for less than $2. So yeah, I got a jigsaw, but the thing with this is I had to buy the blades, but the blades weren't that expensive too. It's like $4 for this entire thing. So yeah, I get to rent this, play with it a bit, cut some wood up and fit it over here. So you can see this one, it's too long. It's not gonna fit over there, so I've got to cut this up so that it fits nice and snug on this rack, and then I can put the tanks on top of that wood. But some people might argue that having wood underneath your tank is not really necessary, and it's just a place for water to collect. And that's probably true if you're someone who spills a bunch of water, but I try to be careful whenever I'm dealing with these tanks and try not to spill water. So for me it's okay, and I like having this because it gives you a place to mount your lights and power strips like how I have over here. It's a little bit tough to see because this light is on the way, but my power strip is mounted on the board over there, and if you want you can even mount some lights on, so that's why I like having that thing there. A little bit nervous because I've never used a jigsaw before, but I guess there's always a time to learn something new, and it's probably not the best idea to do it right in front of your car. Currently draining the tanks. I've already done this side. Now I'm working on these two tanks right here. This bottom tank is basically just a moss tank. There's no fish in there, so nothing really to worry about. But this tank has my plants. It's my plant stock tank, as well as some rainbows that I've got in there secretly, and my guppies. So I've got to drain that down, move that out of the way, and I can get this over there. It should be done just like this. Almost, but not quite there yet. Maybe one more time will do the trick. And check that out, all complete. This rack is looking really nice. You can see the 4 2-foot tanks all lined up, looking really neat. And then this right here is the nano rack. I'm going to have tanks sitting here, 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 and there. And so I'm gonna have 4 nano tanks. The other 2 are over here right now. This is the Endler's Live Bearers tanks, and there's a bunch of babies in here. It's always super hard to focus on them, but I think you can kind of see the tiny little baby swimming around. And then this is the other tank that I'm going to move over there. So these 2 nano tanks are going to go over there in the near future, maybe in the next video, I don't know yet. But I've also got some goldfish over here. They really don't belong in this 2-foot tank, and I'm gonna upgrade them, but I'll have a video coming out about those guys. I got them from someone and they came just like that, so I want to upgrade them to a bigger tank and maybe into an outdoor pond sometime in the future. These 2 tanks down here, I'm going to convert them into quarantine tanks, so all the plants and all the fish are coming out, and I'm just going to make these a very simple quarantine tank, so when I bring new fish in, I can medicate them before adding them into the main display tanks, which I'll have all up over here. But you might remember from the last video, these guys had ick, but now they're looking so much better. The colors on them are so vibrant, but they should get much more vibrant than this in the next few months. We're also definitely gonna get more rainbows to add to this tank and more plants as well, so stay tuned for that. But then these 2 tanks up here, I'm going to convert this tank and make it look kind of like this so I can add more plants, because I've just got a bunch of plants sitting around and I want to add them into this tank so that I can store them properly. But right now my 𝗯𝘂𝘀𝗶𝗿𝗀𝘀 are in here. You can see they're growing a little bit. I'm feeding them every day, but they're growing really slow. Not too sure why, so I want to upgrade them and move them into either a 3-foot tank or a 4-foot tank. As always, I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, be sure to hit that thumbs up button. There's many more changes coming to this fish room and many more tanks to be added and more scapes to be done. So be sure you subscribe so you don't miss any of this, and I'll see you guys next time.